Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of The Bald Brad Show. It is officially Thursday, March 6th, and Donald Trump is still, by far, not even close, the best president in American history. Patriots, I hope you're having a lovely day. And let me tell you, the Democrats are cooked. The Democrats, if you thought Trump derangement syndrome messed them up in 2016, well, they just got another dose of it. And I don't know if they're in the relapse phase where now they're starting to have like exorcisms in the sense of their demonic presence making their heads spin like, I'm here. I don't know what's happening with this party, meaning the Democrats, because they're acting more unusual than ever. And we're going to break some of it down for you folks, along with get into a bunch of other news segments, because the news is endless and you know how it rolls. Hit that like button to support the show. If you want to become a member, we have that available as well. We also have a book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Would love for you to check that out. And with that being said, the Democrats are cooked, folks. And there was a cringe video going viral yesterday of Democrats choosing their fighter. They have no agenda. They have no plan on making America better. The plans that they do have is only making America worse. And they don't have somebody that is the front runner of the Democrat Party. I mean, let that sink in. You have an entire country full of 350 million people, and you can't find one. That tells you how lost they are. It tells you how they are a shell of what they used to be. Check this out. What the hell happened with this lady? Look at this one. That's from my district, by the way. Not like my district, but I mean my state, I should say. Oh, God. That's what they're doing. They're making weird, cringy videos, folks, instead of figuring out how your money should be spent wisely. This is what they do. They make stupid-ass TikTok videos of them going, I'm fighting. And then they go into a chamber and they say, hey, I think, we should spend $59 million of condoms to Mozambique. Hey, Nancy, what do you think about transing dolphins? Yeah? Is that fun for you? You like that, you weirdo? I'm into it too. Let's do it. These people are, can you imagine showing that video 20 years ago? Just anything from the Democrats. Can you imagine showing the video 20 years ago? Let me show you this. Can you imagine just showing this? Oh, I found her. Him, I don't know. We found the creature. What is this? This is the Democrat Party. If you wanted something, if you could paint a picture in your head and you had to describe a Democrat to somebody in 2025, would this not be it?
That the election was fought over the cost of living, and families who live paycheck to paycheck, concerned about whether or not they were going to be able to pay their bills, be able to pay for their health care, in some cases even putting food on the table. And the address tonight didn't address any of those issues about cost of living and the fact that people live paycheck to paycheck.
When I say this, and you guys are all aware of this, no reflection, no thought, no assimilation to the guy that you voted for 4 years ago was the cause of what took place now. And now you had Donald Trump address the cost of living. He said you need to drill, baby, drill. You have to figure out the energy. You can't be relying on all these foreign countries for everything, because when they decide to go usurpacious and, I don't know, invade another country like we're seeing right now, turns out you can't really rely on them all that much. But I know that's a novel idea to Democrats. It didn't used to be. Here's the mind-blowing thing. It did not used to be. If you listen to Barack Obama's speeches from 2007, 2008-ish, you'd be like, this guy does, this is, who is this? Who is this? It's Barack Obama and the Democrat Party's old agenda. Their new agenda is to trans your kids, lop off their genitals, allow crime to run rampant, and, well, give everybody else around the world your money. And it's not just me that sees it. DJ sees it too. DJ was and is the officer / now Secret Service agent, sir, on the White House grounds being interviewed by Miss Winters here. And I'm just going to let it run its entirety because he lays into the Democrats a little bit here, and I absolutely love it. We're going to play it in its entirety. Buckle up, folks, because DJ has some things to say.
Have for us, very special guest.
Steve, I am so honored of every guest I've ever had on our show to have, can I call you officer or agent, DJ Daniel, all of the above?
It really don't matter to me. I love women, so I don't care.
That's amazing. DJ Daniel, I want to ask you, first and foremost, do you love President Trump? And are you so excited to be here on the White House grounds?
Obviously, because I gave him a great note that says Donald Trump is the best president of the United States of America.
And why do you feel that way?
Because honestly, I honestly wanted to see Donald Trump in real life, and now it's actually came true. And to my friends, I know one of my friends told me to say this to Donald Trump, but I didn't say it to him. So good luck, buddy.
Last thing, because we know you got to bounce. What would your one piece of advice for the Secret Service be?
Please stop being mean to President Trump, because if I see you being mean to him, I'm coming after you.
I love that. I think you need to become the director of the Secret Service. DJ, it is such an honor to have met you.
Hold up, I got one more thing to say.
He has one more thing to say. I won't interrupt you.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
You are about to go so viral, and you went viral last night.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of acting like Miss Candace Matthews from Houston, Texas.
That's amazing.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to Donald Trump, I'm on your bumper. I love it. I love it. Spoken like a true law enforcement. Good for him, man. Good for him. Getting out there, patrolling the White House grounds, a little plastic gun. I love it. I love it. The kid's having a time of his life. He was in the Oval Office yesterday with Donald Trump and his father. So that was kind of cool that Donald Trump, he gave him a big old hug and stuff like that yesterday. So that was really cool to see. If we have time, we'll get to it. Now, again, if you're just joining us, Democrats are cooked, folks. You have the creatures out there. You have the demonic presence. You have them acting like weirdos. They're doing like fight videos. If you missed that clip, they don't know what to do. And now they're just acting unhinged. They're acting like, I can't say the word, but here, Scott Jennings is raising a great issue because when you start spazzing out like the Democrats are doing, and they don't know where to put their focus is going to be put towards making stupid ass TikTok videos, getting out their old and dusting off their old auction paddles from way back when they were pro-slavery and quite frankly still kind of are. And they also don't know how to put the blame in the right direction. So right now, eggs are expensive. And eggs are expensive because under Joe Biden, there was a thing called the bird flu. And Joey decided and the Democrats decided, hey, let's just go ahead and kill all the birds, not the ones with the flu. Let's just go ahead and just do a blanket just killing of millions. And we'll figure it out later on the back end.
Viewers to see of you with your chicken. I don't know what this chicken's name is. Maybe you do.
Never name the chickens.
Oh, that's sad.
Well,
but seriously, is this realistic? Like, is this a realistic solution? Like, I mean, or is it a little bit out of touch with, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people who, you know, have no backyard to put a chicken in, for example.
That's true. Well, first of all, I would highly recommend this hobby to anybody. It's been the most fulfilling and worthwhile thing. I started with 6. I now have 35.
You have 35 chickens?
And I'm like the Pablo Escobar of my neighborhood.
Oh, my God.
It's outrageous the amount of eggs I get every single day. Now, don't everybody come over at once. But
I did hear you sometimes bring them here to CNN and share them.
I have brought eggs here. Look, I think she was making light of the idea that backyard chicken farming is taking off. But what is true is that we killed millions upon millions upon millions of chickens, which is why egg prices are high today. What I hope is that the Agriculture Department looks at this chicken culling policy. I think we may have killed too many. But if you want to know why the egg prices are high, it's not because of what anything Donald Trump has done. It's just we killed all the chickens that lay all the eggs. Now, not a problem at my house. My chickens are in a very nice, secluded backyard area. They're not interacting with any other infected animals. well taken care of, well fed.
You're really defensive about
well,
lack of bird flu in your
I
backyard.
just
Now, Scott does a great job. He's a charming guy. You could slap him around, and look, he gives him pulls, right? And sometimes he's going to smack the crap out of you, and other times he's going to be gentle. Yeah, he's going to be gentle. Right there, he was gentle, but also explaining them an obvious thing, that when you create a policy and the policy is about killing millions of birds, it's obvious that then you wouldn't have eggs. I don't know why. Again, the basic objective truths for the Democrat Party and their lack of seeing those objective truths is why their party is cooked. They can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. They can't tell you what would happen if you kill all the birds. You don't have any eggs. Difficult? It's not difficult. And like I said, they can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. So what do they say? Well, there's just thousands of genders. There's just thousands of them. The problem is it's not a winning issue for Democrats. The problem is that when you can't separate just two genders and hold to that objective truth, things fall apart really quickly. And it turns out they did a tracker of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. When Donald Trump said that there's only going to be two genders, one is not like the other in this graph, and I want to see if you could spot it.
And I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Interesting, right? Independents and Republicans both pretty much agree, and strongly agree for that matter. If you look here, this right here, you have a lot of strong Democrats actually in favor of this statement, but you have a lot of hardcore progressives that are just spamming. Oh God, I can't, there's not two genders, there's 50 million of them. They just keep spamming it. I would like to point out a lot of our viewers are actually independents. We got a lot of Republicans here, but a lot of our viewership, surprised me, are independents. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It makes sense, actually, to be independent, in my opinion, especially if you're coming from the Democrat Party. What the hell is it? The Democrats are not paying attention, sir. Paying attention, Democrats? I thought Dems were the party of science. Oh, no, come on. They're still masking in their car by themselves. Without metrics, the chart is hard to interpret. However, if we assume the middle is the baseline, the line's movement suggests that contrary to what most would expect, Republicans care about this topic than Democrats. There's always one. There's always one. That's how this guy's can interpret it. Or girl. I don't know what the hell they are. So basically, Dems are retarded. Got it. She said the R word. I was told we can't say it anymore. Because then you belittle retarded people. I think that's messed up. We shouldn't be. Only people we can belittle here is Democrats. That's who's allowed. That's who's allowed. Now, again, Democrats are cooked. They don't have an agenda. They don't have a plan. And so when Donald Trump presents a plan, Democrats get all upset with it. Like, hey, what's your plan to fix Ukraine? They don't have one. Notice no other country out there in the ether, out there in the world, has a plan on how to fix Ukraine. Nobody other than Donald Trump has a plan. What about China? Where's the plan surrounding China? Anybody have a plan about what happens if they invade Taiwan? What is the plan? Democrats don't have one. Democrats can't even figure out if themselves are a boy or girl, let alone try to figure out global issues. So we got a major issue right now because there is an issue going on with China presently. Donald Trump imposed tariffs on China. And China don't like that. China's talking about going to war. Now, this article, at a glance, may not seem like that big of an issue. But if you've been a longtime viewer of the show, we have explained that China, in 2025, had plans to invade Taiwan. We said this 3 years ago, and we talked about it. And not only did we release the documents, we released the audio leaks that were provided. We released the mapping that shows the provinces of China that need to be stabilized so that their supply chain to invade Taiwan stays up and running, because if those dissolve or get destroyed, well, then the invasion's over. Well, China says it's ready for any type of war with U.S. after Trump doubles tariffs. China responded after President Donald Trump imposed higher tariffs on the communist country on Tuesday, saying that it is, quote, ready for, quote, any type of war and will fight till the end. Now, this could be a little bit misleading, these quotes, but if you're ready for any type of war, it kind of makes you a little nervous with what is happening there in Taiwan with their massive military drills of surrounding the island constantly year after year. Trump doubled the tariffs on Chinese imports from 10 to 20 to 25% tariffs on Canada, and Mexico also went into effect Tuesday morning. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman told the New York Times that Trump's insistence that China do more to curb fentanyl trafficking in the United States is a flimsy excuse to raise U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports. Not really. Not when it's killing 250,000 plus Americans. That is a bonkers number. It's not like it's 1,000. It's not like 10,000. 250,000 bodies is quite a bit. And let me tell you, and by the way, it's not just the fentanyl thing. It's also that you manipulate your currency. It's also that you're not exactly fair in terms of who could do business in your country, but we're fair on pretty much, now I'm using that word fair loosely, on who could do business in the United States. So we allow you to do business here, but if we wanted to take that same type of industry and implant it into the Chinese Communist Party, all of a sudden, no can do, sorry, it doesn't hold our value system, you're not communist, we can't, no can do. Funny how that all works out. So no, it's not just tariffs on the, it's not just the flimsy excuse of fentanyl on tariffs, it's a lot of other things. But as I always tell the viewers, as I always tell the patriots, people generally are not able to understand that there's usually multiple variables that go into an outcome. And if you can assess all those different variables, you're going to be a lot better off for it because you're going to understand the outcomes a lot better. Furthermore, usually with all those different variables, there's generally one variable that's going to have a greater impact on the output that is being stated. And so usually if there's a greater output on something, a lot of people just want to focus on that one greater output as it being a univariate analysis of that variable that would kick out to the output. Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm not being too nerdy here. You just got to look at everything. Okay, yeah, there was one that is basically bigger, the fentanyl, than all the other ones, but all the other ones are still contributing to the same proportionality of the said big one that has the output. So China's freaking out here, and they're saying the U.S., not anyone else, is responsible for fentanyl crisis inside the U.S. In the spirit of humanity and goodwill towards the American people, we have taken robust steps to assist the United States in dealing with the issue, Lynn said, adding, if the United States truly wants to solve the fentanyl issue, then the right thing to do is to consult with China on the basis of equality, mutual respect, and mutual benefit to address each other's concerns. Let's just take a step back. China, what happened 5 years ago? Where was the mutual respect then? Where was the equality then? Where was the mutual respect on giving us a phone call and saying, I think we released a major virus upon the globe. Get out! Get down! There's a huge virus. Where was the phone call? There was no phone call. You covered it up. You assholes covered it up. So don't talk to me about equality. Don't talk to me about mutual respect and mutual benefit. You assholes released a huge virus upon the globe that killed millions of people. And they have the balls. They have the balls to tell us. I told you how these countries treat us, right? And how they act. They act entitled. They act like they're holier than thou. They act like they don't do anything bad. The communist government spokesman, when warned that China was ready for war, if the U.S. has other agenda in mind, and if war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. We urge the United States to stop being, domineering and return to the right track of dialogue and cooperation. Is it domineering? You gotta love it. They're not ready for, again, China has nuclear warheads, okay? Other than that, they don't have shit. They got a lot of people, but we have the biggest Navy, and that's why, if you notice, Donald Trump wants to start building ships again. There's a reason for it, because the Democrats keep wanting to deplete our military, Republicans want to build up our military because it turns out again that there's governments that go usurpacious and they invade other countries. That is still a thing. But Democrats, because they're so tunnel visioned on Republicans and America being so racist and evil and bigoted and all this stuff, that they don't realize there's real evil out there. You know, there's still slavery going on. Slavery is still bigger right now than it was at the height of actual slavery way back when. They don't ever want to go travel to the other countries and talk about slavery. They don't want to talk about how China still has Uyghurs in concentration camps. They don't want to talk about any of that because it's a lot easier to blame your own country for things than it is to actually look at who's having a greater impact on the very things that you're supposedly against. I mean, not wrong. Not wrong. Hit that like button if you agree that I'm right. But really, if you're having a good time, all jokes aside, smash that like button. It really does support the show. Leave us a comment down below when the show's ended. If you're over at Rumble, well, do both. Hit up the chat if you're a lurker. Please hop in the chat. That'd be great. We have here some more news regarding Trump's ultimatum to Hamas. Now, I told you I was always going to be fair when it came to Donald Trump, regardless if I voted for him 3 times or not. I'm not beholden to the guy. You know I like him. You know I'm a Trump fan, obviously. I don't like this because he's pulling a Joe Biden. And I know you're like, how could you equate Trump to Joe Biden? Well, give me a second and I'll explain. Simmer your ass down. Simmer down. Let me explain. You remember when Joe Biden allowed the Iranians and these terrorist groups to sink our merchant vessels at the bottom of the ocean? And for 127 times, Joe said, don't do that. Stop it. You better stop it. I'm going to do something. You better stop it. I will do something or it's going to be bad. For 127 times exactly, he did that. After 127 times, he bombed a empty building, we'll call it. It's just made of cement. There was nothing in it, just exploded. What happens with that is nobody's going to take you seriously. How does that equate to Donald Trump? We have it right here. And I've talked about this, and I talked about it when he was coming in office. Trump's ultimatum to Hamas, release hostages or else. Patriots, again, I love the guy. I don't take this seriously anymore. Why don't I take this seriously anymore? Because this is for sure the 3rd time he said it in the last month and a half. Potentially, this is the 4th or 5th time. So he's not acting in a way that people are going to take him seriously. And like I mentioned, when he said before he took office, he stood there next to that one dude and he said, if they're not released by Saturday at noon, all hell's going to break loose. I remember it because we covered it. And I said, he has to act on it because if he doesn't, then that's going to hurt his negotiation power for the next 4 years. And they're not going to take him serious. He has to be ready to go if he's going to say all hell is going to break loose and start basically dropping bombs and start being serious about it. Well, now we're 4 or 5 times later, and President Donald Trump has issued a stern ultimatum to Hamas, once again, demanding the immediate release of all hostages and return the deceased individual bodies. This comes amid ongoing secret talks between the U.S. and Hamas. Following these developments, Trump met with some of the released hostages to underscore his administration's commitment to resolve the situation. Additionally, U.S. Senator John Fetterman has publicly endorsed Trump's aggressive policy towards Hamas, but he hasn't done anything. He said, this is your last warning. We've already seen this. This isn't anything new, Trump. You haven't done anything. Your words are meaningless because you already set the standard up here. You didn't meet it. And so they're sitting, and I don't like Hamas, obviously, but I don't blame them for going, he's already said it. Like, what? He's already said it 4 times. I'm just going to hold on to him. We're not giving you shit. I'm going to hold on to him. And the problem is, this is hurting. And and if I was another world leader, I would look at this and be like, he's not as tough as he says he is. So it's just a bunch of fear mongering. He's not actually going to follow through on anything other than maybe tariffs. Right. Trump's normally a strike one guy. So I get that he doesn't want to get involved, but sometimes then don't say it in the first place. I don't like that. And I try my best to keep my word. It is a pet peeve when somebody tells me something and then does something different. And I don't care if it's somebody I voted for or not. You said you were going to do something. I want you to follow through. It could have been, hey, you know what? We'll go in, fly some F-22s around, hit some terrorists, and then pull out a little bit. I don't know, something. But for you to just keep, wagging your finger like Joey did, I don't like that. And I have to be consistent. I think that's fair. If I'm going to hound Joe for something and Trump does the same thing, I'm going to hound him for it. Does it mean I don't like him? You guys know I love him. Folks, come on. But he's a man and we're not beholden. We're not beholden. He's there to do the will of the people, and he's there to do what we voted for him to do. And he's doing a good job. But, got called balls and strikes. And I think that's fair, right? At least I'm not bullshitting you. Does it make sense? Like, if you go on like Fox or something like that, or some of these conservative Republican outlets, they're going to make it seem like everything Trump does is fine and dandy. Kind of like what the Democrats do with Joe Biden and the progressive left, that like he can't do anything bad. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit there and tell you my opinion. And you may not like it. You may not agree with it, but that's okay. That's okay. Life goes on. But I want to make sure that I'm honest with you guys. And I'm not just going to bend the knee to Trump whenever he does something I don't like. So speaking of things I don't like here, I don't know if y'all saw this one. Say goodbye to your $2 billion. Supreme Court denies Trump administration's request to halt $2 billion in foreign aid. This is one of those article titles that doesn't really get the point across of how damaging things are with this. And let me explain. So the Supreme Court on Wednesday dealt a significant blow to the Trump administration when it ruled that the federal government must pay out $2 billion to the U.S. Agency for Internal Development. I've heard that before. Yes, it's the USAID contractors. Now, here's the kicker. In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court rejected an emergency application from the Department of Justice seeking to overturn a district court's judge's demand that the administration unfreeze billions of dollars Trump halted through an executive order. Now, this seems very confusing, but I'll get to it. I promise I'll simplify it. So you have Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh wrote the scathing dissent, with Alito saying that he was stunned by the majority's decision. And I'll tell you why he's stunned in one moment, because it gets to it. Quote, does a single district court judge who likely lacks jurisdiction have the unchecked power to compel the government of the United States to pay out and probably lose forever $2 billion of taxpayer money? The short answer is no, they don't. And he highlights it here. The answer to that question should be an empathetic no, but a majority of the court apparently thinks otherwise. I am stunned. Alito added that the majority effectively rewarded an act of judicial hubris and imposes a $2 billion penalty on American taxpayers. What judicial hubris is, in very layman's terms, is that this lower court basically went around the other higher courts and went around the necessary checks and balances that are in place to see and determine if this money should be paid out or not. And what the Supreme Court basically did here, even though they threw it out, they basically gave authorization to a lower court to surpass the higher courts to throw out this money in the first place. In other words, at what point, well, basically now you're setting precedents for the lower court to decide what everybody else is going to do. That is not how things are supposed to be ran. That is a massive problem. That is a huge problem. And I'm bewildered just as much as you are. And look, it's not me throwing in my bias of, oh, well, it is, because I'm a fiscal conservative, it's because it's about the money and I want to hold on to the money. That is true. But if the Supreme Court would have ruled on it and said, hey, you need to wait, you need to make sure that the emergency application gets through and that you follow all the procedures in place, I would be fine with that. The problem is that they didn't. They didn't. So Alito argued in the Supreme Court himself that the Supreme Court's refusal to intervene in this whole thing allowed a lower court judge to dictate executive actions improperly. This is concerning because this could potentially look at what the next 4 years plus will look like. Furthermore, he also expressed the concern about the president, which I just mentioned, that this sets for the judicial power and the misuse of TROs to bypass higher court review. big article here. We will see, and we'll basically hold on to this. We'll hold on to this article for a little while and see how this unravels and plays out in the courts later on. If I saw this as somebody that was in the lower courts that wanted to get my agenda across, especially if I'm a progressive lefty, I'm licking my chops right now. Oh, because yeah, the lower courts dictating what all of us have to pay out yeah, we'll keep it at that. I'm trying to be better on the cussing. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But what does look good is we finally got the poll numbers on Donald Trump's speech, folks. The poll numbers are looking really, really good. And speaking of Donald Trump, before we jump into the article itself, if you're looking for a great place for online and for news to discuss the ongoing political landscape, or heck, if you're just in the entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's Truth Social website. We are on it ourselves. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, then get on Truth Social today. It's absolutely free, folks. You just got to sign up. So use that QR code right there and you get the app, or you can just go in the App Store and download it yourself. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. And it's nice to have it because you can get Donald Trump's updates pretty quickly. There's usually a lag time between somebody screenshotting it on Truth Social and then posting it over to X. And it's Donald Trump's site. It's nice to support the guy and just be on there, even if you're not totally active. Like, I'm not very active on there, but I still have it because I want to support the guy. Head over to Truth Social and you get pretty good announcements on there. And some people only post stuff on there that they don't post on X, even though they're on it. So like I said, it's a great outlet to make sure you're getting the news and what's going on. Furthermore, we will be doing a Dark MAGA podcast tonight. It will be on Rumble Premium only. So you won't see it on X, you won't see it on Twitter, you'll see it on Rumble, but you have to be a premium member. We're going to be going over some stuff for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. We'd love for you to join us. Again, Dark MAGA is where we put on the Dark MAGA hat, and we have a little bit more of a spicy time. So if you have Rumble Premium, hop over. I would imagine there's probably not going to be too many people there because Rumble Premium, some people are still trying to save up and get it and gather it. But we will have a Dark MAGA podcast this evening, Thursday evening. Generally, I try to plan on doing Tuesdays, Thursdays at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be on the lookout for it. Well, strong majority of viewers had a positive reaction to Trump's speech. These are very, very, very good numbers. 4 p.m., 5 p.m., one of those two times. I have to see what works best for the schedule that I have. So just be on the lookout. So CNN right now is talking about Trump's positive numbers here. I love these numbers. CNN found that 69% of watchers had a positive reaction to the speech, with a plurality. 44% had a very, very positive reaction. Almost half the country had a very, very positive reaction of Donald Trump's address to Congress. I told you the left is cooked. The Democrat Party is cooked when you're seeing these types of numbers on CNN.
To the results, what was your reaction to Trump's speech? 44% of speech watchers in our instant poll tonight say they had a very positive reaction to Trump's speech. 25% somewhat positive, 31% negative. To the results.
Folks, that's basically 70% of the country was in favor of everything that Donald Trump said. So why didn't Democrats stand? Because they're cooked. They don't have an agenda. They don't know what to do. They're lost. They don't know how to combat Donald Trump this time. They have a problem. In 2016, they had Twitter that was willing to falsely accuse Donald Trump of things, and they worked in conjunction with big tech, big media, and the bureaucrats that are in the government. Here's the thing. Donald Trump caught on this time. Now we have Kash Patel. Now we have Dan Bongino. Now we have Pam Bondi. Now we have Pete Hegseth. Now we have Marco Rubio. Now we have Donald Trump. We have all these people we have Elon Musk that are looking in now at this bureaucracy, and that's been exposed. So now they don't have the backbone of all this funding anymore. They're too nervous about cutting checks now and sending them to legacy media to, push a narrative that's completely BS. They can't push the Russia hoax anymore. They can't push this PP tapes. They can't push this whole thing or this or that. They're lost. They don't know what to do. They've been cut at the feet, folks. So now when the funding's cut off, people are too nervous to write checks right now because somebody's looking under the hood. All of a sudden, they're spazzing out. Eggs are too expensive. Oh, shit. China doesn't like you. I mean, oh, wait, Mexico? Wait, you're going to take back the Panama Canal? Wait, what is happening with Gaza? Oh, my God, the illegals. Oh, wait, the drug cartels. How are you going to send planes? Oh, my God, the infrastructure is collapsing. Planes are falling out of the sky. Oh, wait, they don't know what to do. They are spazzing out. They have no agenda. They can't focus on one thing, and it's a phenomenal thing to watch and witness. And I'm telling you, it's even showing on The View. That is a great take on The View to see how Democrats are reacting to things. Because when they start spazzing out and acting like idiots, you know everybody that's watching it is doing the exact same thing. Joy Behar is mad because Donald Trump shook Chief Justice Roberts' hand, saying separation of power is gone. I know what you're thinking. I'm right there with you. We have to show it and document it of what the left is doing because it shows that they're cooked. They're at the point of freaking out now that Donald Trump is shaking people's hands. This is how far gone they are, folks. This is not even bottom of the barrel. They've punched through it and are like digging in scorched earth going, what can we find? Donald Trump shaking somebody's hand?
I thought she was very good and very presidential in many ways, and she wasn't being held hostage like the woman last year. But what I really wanted to talk about was something that you just said, that we don't have a separation of powers anymore.
No. Right.
And there was a moment there that really stopped my heart. And that was when Trump shook hands with the members of the Supreme Court who were there, and those were Kavanaugh, Kagan, Barrett, and Justice Roberts. He said to Justice Roberts, thank you again, won't forget it. Now, what do you think he was referring to? Something like
I thought he helped him get into the men's room?
Well, no. The immunity that he basically passed on, correct? So that he would not be liable for the January 6th insurrection, if I recall.
He has a significant amount of immunity from this court, and I think, most people know now that the Supreme Court's approval rating is lower than it's ever been in the history of the court.
To say thank you to the Chief Justice and for his personal victory,
it's wholly inappropriate.
There are no separations of powers anymore. The Congress is in the bag, Supreme Court is in the bag. I'm thinking that's what he was thinking.
I'm thinking that's what he was thinking. Joy, there's no thought in there. Come on. Let's be real. This is a lady. I always love sharing this story. It was one of the funniest articles I've ever written, read. There was a cop that was on pursuit. Body cam footage, we showed it. There was a lady, a black woman called Kamala Bryant. And Kamala Bryant had a kitchen knife, like one of those old, Halloween style movie with Michael Myers knives. Like, I'm talking about the big ones, like the huge butcher's knife thingy. And she was in the process of stabbing another black woman in the neck. And the knife was probably like this far from the black lady's neck in the process of stabbing her. The cop gets out and puts a few in the chick's chest and puts her down. Saves the black chick's life. Joy Behar, quote, couldn't he fire a warning shot or shoot her in the kneecap or, quote, the buttocks? It was one of the funniest quotes I've ever heard because it just shows how stupid she is. And it's not just her, it's also Sunny Hostin. Sunny Hostin's on The View. And she kind of pushes the whole thing about the summit and stuff like that. So I want to get to it.
I know how much this president loves his ratings, so I did not turn the TV on. I turned the TV off.
Kind of like everybody should do with your show on The View so they could save brain cells. You only have so much.
What I did was I watched the State of the People Summit, which was counter-programming. At last count, when I tuned off at about 11:30 p.m., there were about 200,000 viewers. It was a 24-hour program, and it included hours dedicated to the actual issues that our country is facing. For example, there was an economic hour, there was a legal hour, there was a faith-based hour. Minority leader Hakeem Jeffries showed up for that. Jasmine Crockett was there, other civil rights leaders. So unlike Trump's campaign speech, which is, I think, what we really saw, this was actually informative programming. And so that's what I
Is she stupid? Campaign speech. He can't run again. What campaign speech would there have been? What's mind blowing? Let me see if I can find it. You want to know what type of stuff they were showing afterwards? Let me see if I can get to it. I'm jumping ahead here. Where is it in my line of friggin' stuff? What they had, and I better have it here. I thought I did. Here we go. The Democrats, check this out. This is who they had. Democrats literally chose an illegal immigrant to give their response to President Trump's address. This is what Hostin's talking about, right? Oh, well, I turned it off. I was watching other stuff. Were you watching this? Were you watching this?
Medidas migratorias de Trump no están diseñadas como él y sus aliados dicen para deportar criminales.
We'll leave it at that. I don't speak that language. Speak English. We're in America. English. Not saying you can't speak other languages, right? Because how could you? You're so bigoted. I think you should know other languages. I think it's really good. But your main language should be English because that's what we speak here. If I was to go to Germany, I should probably learn what? German. If I was to go to South Korea, what should I probably learn? Korean. If I was to go to Japan and live there, what should I probably learn? Japanese. Novel idea, I know. But if you say the obvious nowadays, oh, you racist, you bigot, how could you do it, right? And they start physically attacking you in some cases and treating you maliciously. Now, it wasn't just her talking about Donald Trump and she turned off her TV. She also got upset with Democrats because they didn't march out with Representative Green. So they get into a shouting match first. And then what happens is they get upset because they didn't all walk out together. So here's Whoopi Goldberg first getting in a shouting match with somebody. I think it was Miss Griffin is her name. I call her a rhino. She's allegedly a Republican. But here's a shouting match, and then we'll get to Sonny Hostin's thing.
Was masterful, and I think she gave Democrats the winning message that they failed to have. But I thought the antics on the floor were not helpful. I don't think that waving a cane is the optics that the Democrats want in this moment. I don't think holding up signs, which are now just being mocked on the internet. It's like, who is advising these people?
Shout out to Danielle for sending me a picture. And I think somebody like photoshopped these. I think I gotta look at the picture again. I think the picture said like retarded, and it just had an arrow pointing to them or something like that. So one of our viewers, Danielle, who you all know, sent me an email with a picture. I think that's what it said with an arrow, and it was just pointing at themselves. It's pretty funny.
Here's what didn't happen. You see, last time someone did that,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She was engaged by the president. See, all of this snowflake behavior of the Republicans, you can't take it. You can dish it out, but you can't take it.
That's right.
Snowflake behavior. Marjorie Taylor Greene was telling Joe Biden to acknowledge the fact that his policies led to the death of somebody's daughter, you idiot.
I'm just saying,
She wasn't tossed from the chamber.
She was not tossed from the chamber. Nope. He engaged with her and moved on. But we understand that doesn't work.
Well, one, we know what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying. Second, we don't know what the guy with the cane was saying, which just shows you how pointless what he was. Well, here's Sonny Host to talk about. Well, maybe she gets upset because the Democrats didn't walk out with the guy.
I thought that Alyssa Slotkin was masterful, and I think she gave Democrats the winning message that they failed to have. But I thought the antics on the floor were not helpful. I don't think that waving a cane is the optics that the Democrats want in this moment. I don't think holding up signs, which are now just being mocked on the internet. It's like, who is advising?
Oh, it looks like the same clip. I guess it got removed. Oh, here we go. I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one.
While I didn't watch it, I was looking for signs of an opposition party, which is what the Democratic Party must be at this point, not a resistance, because resistance is passive. Opposition is active. And I think that what I saw when Representative Al Green stood up and said, you don't have a mandate to take away Medicaid, and he was tossed out, I expected the rest of his Democratic caucus, the rest of his colleagues to walk out with him. Because alone...
To walk out! It's like, calm down, lady. Okay, calm down.
You you can survive, but together you thrive. That is the energy that we need. They should have stood with him in solidarity. And we had Karine Jean-Pierre here on this show yesterday, and she said we have to have a sense of urgency as we move forward, and we cannot do it the way we have in the past. This is not normal. It is a 5-alarm fire. And what I want to say to the Democrats is you can't play by the rules with a party that has thrown away the rule book. That's right. You cannot do it.
Thrown away the rule book. What rule book are you talking about? What? The lower courts just circumvented the entire system and got their way by the Supreme Court, but you just got done saying that how much you don't like the Supreme Court earlier. Oh, they just shout things to the skies. It's of bewilderment to me, folks. At least explain what Donald Trump is doing in a coherent way that you don't like, other than going, he's circumventing the system. He's getting rid of the playbook. Democrats are cooked, man. I just think it's interesting that they're still double, tripling, quadrupling down on the guy holding up a cane. It's not a good look that you have an older person with a cane going, you better don't touch Medicaid. And Trump's like, what the hell are you talking about, old man? Like, nobody's touching Medicaid. Like, chill out, brother. Get out of here. Go. Shoo. Bye-bye. You got to blow on him. He'll fall over. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. Nobody knew what he was saying. I mean, it was, if you think about it, it was a really stupid thing to do because you're not mic'd up. Nobody knows what he said. We're assuming what he said because he told us afterwards in an interview. But that whole grandstanding was to have the spotlight on you. He probably wanted to be tackled and injured by the sergeant in arms, which didn't happen. It was a complete flub. The whole night for Democrats just was a bad look, especially when I said 70% approval rating on the speech itself by CNN posting that, which tells you everything you need to know. Let's get into a little bit of illegal immigration news. Lawmakers grill sanctuary city mayors on illegal immigration. There's some live updates here. And the Democrats, I think, felt the heat a little bit in this exchange. You have Byron, you had a bunch of people here going after different mayors of different cities just the other day. So here's Byron going after the Boston mayor.
Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering city
You don't
services,
ask
so
about
we
how
don't
much
have
money
that
the city
number.
of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are
don't
you out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu,
safe.
do you manage
we
your
have
budget
the
or not?
numbers to prove it. I manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city of Boston is sick of having
I'm
people
reclaiming my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I have
need.
a question for you. Mayor Wu.
Did you hear what she said? Oh, our city is safer. Our city is safer. It's like people are being raped in your city. Like, what are you talking about? Like, people are being murdered by illegal immigrants in your city, but you're safer. Yeah, no, oh, yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, let them roam free and take your money at will. No, it works. Here's another clip.
Recognizes
Mr. Chairman, I have unanimous consent
Subramanian.
request. Mr. Chairman, I have unanimous consent request.
Proceed.
I'd like to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record this article, and I'll do this as a survivor of sexual violence myself. This is
Oh, thank God it cut off. I don't know why it does. Give me 1 second. Let me refresh that for you. Apologize.
I'll do this as a survivor of sexual violence myself. This is from Courts, March 2018.
It was Ash Wednesday yesterday, you guys. So a lot of people that are Catholic had ashes on their forehead.
Without objection, so ordered.
Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born
Without objection, so ordered. We've put it in the record.
I haven't entered it.
You have what?
Mr. Chair, can I have several articles. I need to enter them. Let me just go ahead with what the articles are. What they speak to.
What's the next article?
Let me proceed. Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born Americans
that is
commit
not-
more rape
Presley,
and murder than immigrants.
Listen, this trend of you
Data
all
from
trying to get
Texas
thrown out of
shows
committee
that
so you can get on
US-born
MSNBC
Americans
is going to
commit
end.
more
We're not
rape.
going to put up with it.
This is
Chair
my
recognizes
procedural
Mr.
right as a
Subramanian.
member of this committee
You can
to
go.
enter documents
You can go with
into the
Mr.
record.
Frost and Mr.
I'm
Green.
reclaiming my time.
That's
you
what
do
you
not
want.
get to
No. Ms. Presley,
how
I've been
I
very.
recite the
I have
articles
been
for
very
the
accommodating
record.
to you, Mr. Subramanian.
And I
Start
take
the
particular
clock.
umbrage
Start
as a
the clock.
survivor
No, I
of
don't.
sexual violence.
Go.
I will answer into the record. This is my right. Thank you.
No. It is Mr. Subramaniam.
Mr. Chair?
No, you know the process of unanimous consent. You are not recognized.
I have several articles to enter into the record.
Mr. Subramaniam, if you don't go, we're going to recognize Mr. Timmons.
Thank you.
I love it. So if you heard what she said, it was, well, Americans commit more rapes and murders or something like that than illegal immigrants do. Yeah, but the difference is that the illegal immigrant should never been here in the first place. So it would have never happened in the first place if they were never here. But that type of thinking doesn't work for them. As to why, I'm not really sure. But here's Lauren Boebert kind of putting down the law as well.
In 2017, Denver passed an ordinance that ensured any city employee who spoke with federal immigration authorities would be fired, among other policies that have led to local and national media outlets to call Denver a sanctuary city. So now let me ask you, would a city employee be fired for communicating with anyone from the EPA?
Right now, Congresswoman, our policy is we don't ask people's status.
Would any city employee be fired for communicating and coordinating, talking with an agent from the EPA, a federal employee?
Not to my knowledge, Congresswoman.
What about Health and Human Services? Would they get fired for talking with someone from Health and Human Services?
Not to my knowledge, Congresswoman.
So they would only be fired for talking to federal law enforcement officers?
No, that's incorrect, Congresswoman.
This is an ordinance
city employees do,
Denver
in fact,
passed in 2017, Mr. Mayor.
our city employees do, in fact, communicate with ICE. We do coordinate on multiple things with ICE. For instance, if there is a violent criminal warrant in the city, we pursue that
we're talking
together.
before the warrants, Mr. Mayor. There are issues happening before warrants are issued, and local law enforcement officers are unable to coordinate because there is no warrant. And your ordinance says that a city employee would be fired for communicating with federal law enforcement. So you've been mayor for 600 days. Have you ever called for that ordinance to be repealed?
We are not unable to coordinate with ICE right now. We are in communication with ICE right now.
Only if there is a warrant, but I'm talking prior to the warrant.
We wouldn't have a reason to coordinate.
Because you don't know if there.
I fully believe that a lot of these Democrats are against the American people. I really do believe that. The reason why I say that is because you were voted in by constituents. And maybe I'm wrong. So let me I might have to retract myself here. It is the Democrats' will to allow illegal immigrants in here. So you know what? Let me take that back. They are doing the will of their constituents. This is what Democrats want in Democrat-ran cities. Now, I think it's against the will of the American people as a whole because it's against the law. So we'll cover more of that this evening on the Dark MAGA podcast. But I want to make sure we get to a little bit of a few other things in terms of what's taking place here in Congress, where you have Rashida Tlaib suggesting that targeting, detaining, and deporting criminal illegal aliens, but I want to point out, rape, murder, and harm Americans is racist. I know you might say, Brad, I'm not sure if I heard that correctly. Rashida Tlaib, the psychopath here, says that you're all racists if you think deporting illegal criminal aliens who raped little girls, raped somebody's freaking wife or girlfriend, and then murdered them, if you deport that person, you are a racist.
But one of the things that bothers me about all of this is the executive order of rescinding the sensitive locations. Why this is important. They basically want to do immigration enforcement and racial profiling and immigration enforcement that's race-based, because I'm at the Canadian border in Detroit. Do you know the majority of people coming down undocumented is Canadian? But guess what? It's still the brown folks that are overwhelming. ACLU did a study, is overwhelming the ones being targeted, detained, and deported. But one of the things that bothers me about all of this is the executive order of rescinding the sensitive locations. Why this is important. They basically want to do immigration enforcement and racial profiling and immigration enforcement that's race-based, because I'm at the Canadian border in Detroit. Do you know the majority of people coming down undocumented is...
I had to hear it again because it's just so bewildering. So bewildering. Oh, the brown people are targeted. There's like 190 different countries that have sent illegals here. What are you talking about? It's always odd to me that the focus is on like Mexicans, but there's like Chinese nationals here. I mean, there's everybody from everybody here. I don't care who you are. If you're here illegally, you're not supposed to be. It's plain and simple. I don't know why it's so hard for people to grasp that we're supposed to be following our laws. But anywho, let's get to another sponsor here. I want to talk about things that people are afraid to say out loud. Who is in control of America's nukes? Well, it's Donald Trump now, thank God. But before, it was allegedly Biden, even though it really wasn't. When, if you recall, there was Russian ships off the coast of Florida, which was concerning. You have what's going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. You have Israel and Hamas. You potentially have China, Taiwan. You got Iran and the nuclear buildings that they're creating, or nuclear warheads with their uranium enrichment program. I mean, I would say that the world is at its most unstable point, probably since World War II. And the nuclear weapons, well, the stakes are 10 times higher here. So how do people like you and I stay safe? Every prepper needs to have this, folks. It's RadioGuard Ace. We've talked about it before. The only FDA-approved drug to treat radioactive fallout. This is important because you don't have to exactly hit the nuke that far away from land. The idea is that they would explode it above our airspace and that it would basically be a giant EMP bomb. And I think a huge swath of Americans would die relatively quickly in like a month. So you need this. That's why Rumble partnered with 5G Free, the only company in the world that has the supply of RadioGuard A. So they're the only people, and they're able to prescribe it. So get the radiation emergency kit and RadioGuard Ace, potassium iodide, Zofran, and a Geiger counter. There's simply no other tool in the arsenal to protect against a radioactive threat. 5gfree.com promo code studio to get your 15% off. Again, go to 5gfree.com, use promo code studio to get that 15% off and get your radiation kit now. It's always better to be safe than sorry, folks. That's what my grandma used to say. Always better be safe than sorry, and it's always done justice. Some interesting things here regarding the border. Furthermore, is Missouri AG Bailey questions constitutionality of Biden's order, citing mental decline. Yeah. So it's all coming back. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, a Republican, called on the Department of Justice to investigate whether President Joe Biden's alleged cognitive decline enabled unelected staff to enact far-left policies without his informed approval. I don't know what this would result in, though. Does it result in prison sentences, people being fined? I'm curious, because if it doesn't, then this is just a waste of taxpayer dollars. Their time could be spent other places. Well, according to the letter from Bailey, Biden's mental decline is famous, and staffers may have exploited Biden's incapacity so they could issue orders without an accountable president of sound mind approving them. And this was kind of echoed by Speaker Mike Johnson when he talked about the exports to Europe. And Biden informed Johnson that he thought he had merely signed an executive order authorizing a study on exports, meaning that Biden actually didn't know what he signed. And it makes you wonder how common this was, and that there was no need to bring it up later on because, well, he wouldn't remember. And remember how we said that if he was ever to be criminally prosecuted, that he would just say, well, I can't recall. And everybody would probably believe it because his brain's not working. So he's probably never going to go to prison because he can't recall anything. So there's that. Now, I don't know if it's going to be worth the time, to be quite frank, because again, if nothing happens to anybody, which tends to be the theme here, especially if you're Democrat, nothing ever happens to them. I mean, hell, look at Hillary Clinton, which the bleach bit servers. You can look at the Benghazi issue, the Benghazi case. You could look at Barack Obama with the Fast and Furious case, utilizing ATF, utilizing the IRS to go after conservatives, Republicans. I mean, there's a list after list after list. Nothing ever happens to him. So it just seems kind of like a waste. We all know Joe Biden's brain doesn't work. He's off there in the ether, probably still sniffing children on the beaches of Delaware. Leave the guy alone, and we'll move on here. We got bigger fish to fry as of right now. We got to figure out what the hell what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, terrorists roaming free. We got to figure that stuff out so that we can help people. You have also here at Lutnick, this is an update regarding the tariffs with Canada and Mexico. Trump might meet them in the middle here. So it looks like there might be some negotiations going on behind closed doors. Commerce Secretary Lutnick said Tuesday night that President Donald Trump might be willing to meet Canada and Mexico in the middle regarding the standoff on tariffs, illegal immigration, and drugs, pouring across the American border. Lutnick also said that Trump's administration would make an announcement on Wednesday. Trump has imposed tariffs on the two countries who have retaliated with tariffs of their own. Now, this is almost making a news article out of something that's obvious. I believe that with these tariffs, there's going to be a constant negotiation talks behind closed doors. Canada doesn't want it. I'm sure Trump doesn't really want it because it's just a tax upon us. And you're not going to expect the, let's say, automakers to eat the full 25% increase on the tariffs. They're going to try. But at the end of the day, look, you want to bring manufacturing back here in the United States. You want to have an equal level playing field, and you want people to build stuff here in America. I don't want to rely on other countries. That is going to make things cost more and be more expensive because American labor is more expensive. But if that's the cost of knowing that I'm going to be safe, whereas if China does something, Iran does something, Russia does something, that we're able to worry about ourselves and take care of ourselves at the end of the day. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be purchasing products from other countries, but we got to start producing stuff here again. And we're relying a little bit too much on other countries. And I know I keep repeating it, but it makes me a little nervous. I do not like the fact that we're relying on Taiwan for the vast majority of our chips. I don't even like buying chips from China. I would like our own chips to be purchased here so that I know that the Chinese government or the Russian government, whoever's sending us stuff, isn't spying on us all the time. I don't like having Chinese chips in our government computers, in our government technology, in our planes, in our aircraft. I don't like that stuff because for all I know, they might do something weird with the aircraft if we ever went to war. Don't like it. Not a big fan of it. Needs to change. Donald Trump wants Taiwan to start building them here, and I think that's a good move. Well, folks, that is today's show. If you have Rumble Premium, we will be back here today, 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. I got to see what works. Just be on the lookout for it. And we're going to be going over some long form videos. We don't go after like clip. We go here, we go news article, news article, news article, news article. Long form clips, like 30 to an hour long clips that we'll be watching and reacting and giving commentary on. We will be definitely checking out the White House press briefing, which is our bread and butter. A lot of you enjoy that. So head over to Rumble and get that premium. You are supporting a great, by the way, the Rumble Premium doesn't go to me. It goes to Rumble. And I bought Rumble Premium because I want to support their cause and their company because I believe in it. And you've seen how much YouTube has screwed with us. And I'm going to give you an update on YouTube really quickly. All of you know that they got rid of my ad. And I actually spoke with somebody over the phone for the first time in 4 years. I actually talked to a person rather than typing it out. So you have to have an election license or policy. You had to apply for it. I applied for one years ago to be able to run anything political. And I got flagged for not having it allegedly. So I appealed it. And I talked to the guy and said, well, I filled one out years ago. Do you have to do it every year? I mean, I filled out 5 of them already. Nothing ever happens from it. I got an update yesterday. They declined my application for election to run ads basically in the United States because that's political. Well, check this out. You want to know why they declined it? Because I already have one on file. So the question is, why are you hitting me with an election policy when I have already on file to run my stuff? Do you want to know why? Because they're screwing with our channel. That's why. And it's been going on for years, a lot of years. And it's frustrating as hell. But that's the proof, folks. And I have the receipts. I have the emails. We declined your application because you already have signed, ready to go. You're already done. You already have it. So why are you flagging me for something I have? We know why. Because they don't like what I say. It goes against the Democrat Party. It goes against their agenda, and they don't like it one bit. And they're going to do everything they can to try to stop our voice here on the YouTubes, on the screw tubes. But with that being said, that's why we'll be over at Rumble. That's why you want to join me at Rumble, because YouTube keeps messing with us, and well, it's not very fun. So with that being said, I will see those that want to join me tonight, 4 p.m. or 5 p.m., one or the other. It's probably like 4 p.m. to be honest. And I hope you guys can join me because I have a lot of fun with you, and I'd really love to see you over there. And with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you today on Rumble Premium only this evening for Dark MAGA Podcast. Take care, Patriots.